In this video, I'm going to teach you exactly how to source profitable brands and distributors to grow your Amazon wholesale business. Let's jump right into it. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new, my name is Brad Sherman, seven-figure seller, and on this channel, we explore tips, strategies, and experiences that I have had that will help you start and scale up your Amazon wholesale business. In this video, we are covering sourcing, and I'm going to teach you the exact method that we have used over a period of 3 years to scale our Amazon business to over $4.5 million in sales last year. In this video, we'll be diving into a screen share, and I'll be going through our 2 key sourcing methods. Method number 1 is SmartScout and the filters we set in order to find profitable small to medium-sized brands. And we will couple that with Storefront Stalking. So over the years, we have refined our sourcing processes and we are able to find thousands of wholesale suppliers profitably using this exact method. This video is going to cover exactly how we do it, so make sure you watch the video full and through until the end, because there are going to be tons of value bombs in this video, and you're going to get an inside look into our business and how we are able to find profitable brands and distributors to work with. Before we jump into it, if you guys do enjoy these videos, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps out the videos in the algorithm. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell as well if you want to stay up to date on all future content. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. All right, guys, we are jumping into our screen share here. And as I said before, we are covering our 2 primary sourcing methods. Sourcing method number 1 is through SmartScout, and method number 2 is Storefront Stalking. I'm going to show you how we combine both of these methods in order to find profitable, niche, small to medium-sized brands. And a common misconception among sellers when I say small to medium-sized brands is that they think we are targeting smaller revenue brands, but that is in fact not the case. When we say small to medium size, we are talking about the size of the operations of the company, meaning is an owner or an executive decision maker accessible to get on the phone? Because those types of people are the ones that have a vested interest in the company and the ones that we can actually convince to get a wholesale account, right? But we're still targeting big revenue. Small to medium-sized revenue means gross revenue anywhere between 5 and 15 million. That doesn't mean we don't target companies that are doing less than 5 million a year. And it doesn't mean we don't target companies that are doing over 15 million a year. That's just a broad range. And that's not just their Amazon revenue. That's the company's total revenue as a whole. So we're going to dive into this here. And if you guys haven't hit the like button yet, make sure to hit the like button. And as you guys know, sourcing is 1/2 of the process in wholesale. If you're not sourcing the right kinds of companies, you're not going to be closing the best wholesale accounts. However, if you want to learn more on how to contact brands and outreach strategies, I've included a link to my contacting brands video up above. Let's jump right into it. So we're in here SmartScout, and there are tons of tools in SmartScout that you can use to source profitable brands. I want to keep this relatively simple and straightforward so that the beginner Amazon seller can just create a SmartScout account and utilize this method to find these profitable brands. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to go over to the brands tab here. And from here is where we are going to set our filter criteria. So this is just going to be a list of all kinds of brands, right? This category right now is filtered by grocery, but what we're going to do is go to our filters and we are going to select what our filters are going to be. The best part about SmartScout is that it streamlines the reverse sourcing and the storefront stalking process. This is because it eliminates the upfront time it takes to manually do those 2 sourcing methods. So if you were to go right on Amazon right now, which I will, if I go to Amazon here and I went into one category, right, and then from there I went to another subcategory, And if I try to keep niching down more and more, the problem with that is it takes a lot of time. So I would have to go very deep into Amazon's catalog in order to ultimately find something that's niche enough and profitable, right? Um, and the reason for that is because the products that are on the first pages of Amazon are the ones that are all the number one bestsellers and the big name brands and the products that Amazon is selling themselves. So SmartScout allows us to take out the time that it would take to do that directly on Amazon and then find those brands very quickly. And then from there, because we've already landed on those brands that we're targeting easily, we can then go into the stores that are selling those niche products and then continue to go down the rabbit hole. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do all of that. So watch this video full and through till the end. So we're category agnostic. That means we don't source in one particular category over another. We're all over the place. We have categories that we like, such as grocery and gourmet food because of the low return rates, but that doesn't mean we're not selling products in other categories as well. We sell products across all different categories. So the first thing we're going to be looking at here is our monthly revenue target, and that is the primary filter we're looking at. So we're ranging this anywhere from 20,000 in monthly revenue to, let's say, 250,000. This provides us with a wide enough range to cast a wide enough net, but also at the same time, we're not going after those huge Procter and Gamble size brands, right? The ones that we're never going to be able to get a decision maker on the phone. Might we expand this to maybe 300,000 or drop this to maybe 15,000? Sure, we can do that, but from a general standpoint, this is what we're setting our monthly revenue parameters to be. Brand score. This is an interesting tool. I'm not going to set a parameter here because I don't want it to filter certain things out. But essentially, the way SmartScout measures a listing is through the brand score. This is the brand's health on Amazon, and it takes into account things like overall sales volume and overall listing health. So if a listing is not well optimized, it doesn't have A+ brand content, it really doesn't have a good presence on Amazon, SmartScout will actually rate that listing lower than a brand that has a really strong presence on the platform. And this is huge, right? Because we, as brand direct wholesalers, we are targeting the brands that have a lack of Amazon presence, meaning their listings are not optimized. They don't have a lot of images. They have competitors running ads on their listings, because that's where we can provide a strategic value proposition to the brand. At the same time, we're looking for that, and then we're looking for the discrepancy between what their products are selling. So we want those products to be selling really well to have a good, strong demand, right? Somewhere in this monthly revenue range, but the listings don't look so good, right? Because then we could come in and offer them strategic value. And even if they say, oh, we're not interested in working with Amazon sellers, well, we have the listings to go off of and say, hey, here's what your Amazon presence looks like. And then we can educate them in our outreach process. So we're not covering outreach in this video, we're covering sourcing. And that's the purpose of this, because it all starts with the sourcing process. So that's what brand score is. We want the average number of sellers to be at least 2. And I'm going to put the average number of FBA sellers to also be at least 2. The reason why that we want that is because one seller, generally, it means it's either an exclusive agreement with a third-party seller or the brand is the only one selling the product. I want at least 2 FBA sellers on the listing because I know the brand might be more receptive to selling to other third-party sellers, and at the same time, they already do sell to a third-party reseller, most of the case with this. Now, if the brand is the only seller on the listing, we don't bother with the listing. But if the brand is selling alongside other FBA sellers, we will still pursue that brand. So then we will look at the average selling price, and I'm going to keep this above $9, right? Because generally, we want to keep our ASP a little, higher than $9. I mean, that doesn't mean, this actually should be minimum here. We want a average selling price, a minimum of $9, right? So we don't want to be sourcing products that are below $9, right? That's important because the lower the price you're selling the products for, the less your profitability in most cases. The reason why this is 9 and not less, let's say something 10, is because there's actually a window in the price below $10. You could actually make more money on a product on Amazon because of the way the Amazon fees are structured than if you're selling it a little bit above $10. So that's why I keep this minimum price at 9. So number of reviews, again, is not a limiting factor. I want to keep this fairly broad. We want Amazon's in-stock rate. We can put a 1 here, right? We could put 0 if we wanted to, but for our purposes, we'll just put 1. And again, my main reason for this is the monthly revenue, because I could get rid of all of these other filter criterias, and I guarantee you I'd still find brands if we just use this filter criteria. So that's essentially what we do in terms of our filter criteria. It's relatively simple, and there's tons of more things and tools you can use in SmartScout, but I want to keep this simple and straightforward for the beginner. So we're going to go ahead and do a search based on that. And then from there, we are going to look for products, right? And this is going to estimate our monthly revenue from top to bottom. So it's going to start us out in that top tier, 250,000 monthly revenue, and then we're going to work our way down. So I am just going to scroll, and a number that I'm really keen and looking in on is the average number of FBA sellers, because I am keen on listings that have multiple resellers on them, because that means the brand is selling to multiple resellers, or they're selling to distributors who are then selling to resellers, or they have a reseller problem, right? And they don't have control over their presence on Amazon. So it generally means if there's multiple resellers on a listing, that's good for you, right? Because you could pursue it in some way, shape, or form. And from here, we're just going to scroll. Again, this is a tedious process in the beginning, but SmartScout streamlines the process. So I'm just looking here, right? And I don't know, the first thing that I see is this, Reddington. Never heard of the brand before. It's in the sports and outdoors category, and the subcategory is fly fishing equipment. And that to me sounds like it's a little bit of a niche category, right? So there's some intuition going into this thought process, right? It's not just numbers. And as you do this over and over again, you will find that you get much more intuitive with how you're sourcing it, right? And it takes you a lot quicker. It has an average selling price of $149. I love that, right? Because if I can increase my average selling price, I increase my profitability, I reduce the amount of labor that we have to lay out in order to, sell more product, right? There's many benefits to increasing your ASP, and it's doing almost $250,000 a month in sales. So let's go ahead and click on this and see what they are about, right? So the first thing I am looking at here is the Amazon listing. This is my Scout X. We'll close out of that. And I am looking here. It's got a good rank, and I'll click on the listing just to see what's going on. And it actually looks like the brand is selling to, let's see, a fly fishing specific reseller. So that's something to be mindful of. I'll click on this and see who else is selling it. Kingfisher. So again, this is an example of a brand that might only sell to industry specific companies, and chances are those companies are not Amazon, specialists or Amazon resellers, right? So it sells, decent. It looks to be somewhat seasonal in the fly fishing category, which makes sense. But they have multiple resellers. Keepa tells us it's moving about 200 units a month. And first thing I see is that the product listing is not optimized. It has one product image. It doesn't contain very many keywords in the title. It has bullet points, but they're not listed in feature benefit format. And it doesn't have high volume keywords. There's a competitor running a display ad right here. There is a brand story, so they do have a brand story, but there's no A+ brand content. So the listing looks like maybe they put their toes in the water to optimize it, but nobody's really done a whole lot. So I would reach out to this brand on the basis of that, right? I would go into it with an understanding that they're probably only open to working with fly fishing or industry focused companies that have a brick and mortar store, right? So I'm going into the conversation with a conceptual understanding of the landscape on Amazon, right? So that's where I can go into it and look for a strategic advantage to offer to the brand and say, hey, you don't have the brand specialist on Amazon. You don't have the brand representative. We can increase your sales. We can optimize your listings. We can build out all of this because your fly fishing guys, maybe they're great, sellers and maybe they're buying your product, but they're not doing anything to have that vested interest in the brand. So from here, what I would do is I would go to Google and I would type in the name of the brand. So this looks to be Reddington. Let's see here. Well, I'm going to go to the Reddington store and see what that's about. Yeah, so it looks like the name of the company is Reddington. So I will type in Reddington Fly Fishing. And from here, I will look to find their website. So this actually looks to be a larger organization that owns multiple different brands. So might be a little bit more difficult to get our foot in the door. The reason why I know that is because there's multiple brands up here. So it's worth adding to the contact list. Again, this is just adding to a list of contacts so that we can then go and source those suppliers through our outreach. So it looks like I'm not seeing a phone number on here. They only have a contact us. So I would go over to my contacts sheet here and I would type in Reddington is the name of the brand and it's a fly fishing product. And the reason why we don't need this word, but the reason why I put both the brand name and the product name here is so that when I go back and I'm contacting these suppliers, I want to be able to quickly make a phone call and see what the name of the brand is and the product. And if they call me back and I don't know who I'm talking with, I want to quickly be able to search in my spreadsheet, which might have hundreds, if not thousands of rows, and then quickly control find which brand that I'm looking for, right? So then from here, you're going to put the link to their Amazon listing. So you're going to go up here and grab the URL to their Amazon listing. And then you're going to put the phone number, but unfortunately we don't have a phone number. As you guys know, I like to make phone calls over emails. But if we don't have the phone number available, we'll go ahead and just put the contact information. And we'll submit some information from their website. No phone number, right? We'll put in our notes section rather. No phone number listed. Okay, so that's that. And then from there, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And I'm going to close this out too, because we're going to jump into the second step of the process in a minute, which is storefront stalking. But I'm not really interested in sourcing these stores because they're industry specific. So I'm going to close this out. I'm going to jump back into SmartScout and I'm going to keep on scrolling. And the next thing I'm looking for, I'm just scrolling and seeing sort of what the parameters are here. So I'm looking at this average number of sellers, 7, $51 ASP. This is Hogue. Let's click on that, see what they're about. Well, the first thing I noticed is that this listing's terrible. It has a bad main image, but I will click Hogue. This one looks like it's selling a lot. So I'll go ahead and click this. And this looks like it is just the sleeve for the gun. So it looks like they actually have a lot of sellers, 31 sellers, right? That tells you they have a distribution problem because there is no reason that a brand should have 30 plus sellers on their listing. And then if I go ahead and look at Keepa, it looks like there's been really an exponential climb in recent months. So this is where I could actually go to the brand and position us as, offering value to them and saying, hey, there's no strategic advantage for you guys to be selling to 30 plus sellers on Amazon. And if you're selling to your distributors and you don't have control over it, well, here are the solutions to how you can get control over it, right? So I'm just going to scroll here and look at these sellers and see sort of what kinds of stores they are. And it looks like they're not necessarily industry specific, all of them. A lot of merchant fulfilled sellers. So we will come back to that in a second, but it has a lot of reviews, strong reviews for the product. Images are okay, they're not great. Listing bullet points, not optimized. They have no A+ content. So this is a brand I would definitely reach out to because the demand is there, the product reviews are good, the listing's not optimized. And even though there's 30 resellers on the listing, most of them look to be non-competitive FBM. So that means even if we were to source this from a transactional standpoint, meaning we're just looking to buy and sell the product, we can still make money on it possibly because there's, I would say, maybe only 10 sellers on it that are competitive in FBA. On the same other end of the coin, we can actually source this possibly to get them to sell to a select number of sellers and narrow that number down, and then even convert it into an exclusive agreement down the road. So I will go here and then I'll type in the name of the brand, which is Hogue. And I'm just going to type the name of the brand and the product, Hogue Hunting Grip. Copy that, paste it into Google, and I will find this right here. So this is the brand's website, and I will scroll down here and look for contact. And they do have a phone number, which is good. Nice to see that. So I'll put this here. I will grab the link to the Amazon listing. And then I will go here. I will copy their phone number. And this is all something you're going to have a VA that you're going to train on to do, because in the beginning, you want to do it to learn the process. And trust me, for months, I was sourcing by myself. We have multiple VAs now, but in the beginning, I wanted to have a full in-depth understanding of the whole sourcing process myself. That way I can train a VA to replicate what I was doing. So now our VA will go in and populate the sheet with 50, 100 leads, and we will contact them throughout the week, right? So we don't need this part of it. So we will put that in here, and let's just clean up our phone number. It's an 800 number. I like getting direct numbers because I could usually talk to a person quicker, but that's all they have available. And then returns, so they don't give us a direct email, so we'll just copy this because we can use a contact form if we're unsuccessful with getting them on the phone. So now most people will close this out and go back into SmartScout and source again, which is fine, but I want to show you guys something on how we have really scaled our business. So I'm going to go to the other resellers, and I am just going to start opening up a couple that into a new tab. And the reason why I didn't open up this one is because it says audio and video direct. I don't know if they're industry specific or not. I mean, I suppose I could open them up because they're selling a gun related product. But let's just, I'm not going to open up every one. There's not really necessarily a rhyme or a reason to who I'm opening up, but you could quite literally open up every one of these stores and then scroll through them and now have, 10, 15 stores you can add to your list. So I'm going to click on this. It looks like they're a gun or shooting related industry focused company. But it does look like they're selling other lines in addition, beyond that industry. They have some pet products. They have some lawn and garden care products. Let's see. So if we keep scrolling, they have 12 pages in their store. Not a huge store by any means, but we're not necessarily looking for a store that has 150 pages in it, right? So this is one that we could source. Their ASPs, average selling prices, look to be a little bit lower. But there's no harm in sourcing the store, right? And it looks like it's more of a niche related storefront. So I'm going to copy this link and I'm going to go back to our tab, and we're going to come over here and we're going to create another tab called Storefronts, right? And from here, you're going to populate a list with the information that we had. This was Big Ben's Warehouse. You're going to paste the store link. And now you have a store to source, right? So Then when I source this store, I can find more products to then open up into new tabs and go into storefronts on those products. You guys have to understand there's hundreds of millions of products on Amazon. So the more you go down and niche into this rabbit hole, the process just never ends. So for our purpose, I'm just going to close that out and continue with the different stores that we were looking at here. Again, looks like to be industry focused here, so I'm not necessarily looking for that, but I mean, I could, in theory, add this to the sheet. But we're product agnostic, so for our purposes, I'm going to just keep going and see if there's any other stores in here. This, quite frankly, looks like it's more of a retail arbitrage store because they're selling big brands like Under Armour, a lot of Under Armour. That tells me they're probably doing RA. So I'm going to close them out. And then here, I'm going to click on this in Get Supply. So it looks like they are selling some flat irons, which is in the beauty industry, versus guns, so they're in a couple industries. Let's keep scrolling here, see what else they have. So some tactical gear and about 18 pages. So I'm going to jump to page 3, see if I'm just scrolling to get an idea of what they're selling and if it's, has enough sort of is within our scope of what we're looking for. This is an example of a store I would probably add. Again, they're kind of specific to this whole industry, but this is where we started. So, we might wind up here with some of the stores that we're sourcing. So I will go ahead and add this to our sheet. It's called Get Supply. And then this is what I'm doing literally, guys, is we're doing our day-to-day operations, sourcing, contacting the different steps in wholesale. If I find a store on Amazon, just in being on Amazon, I'll quickly scroll through it, grab it, and paste it in here so that our VA can then go through this storefront at another point. So you keep niching down further and further, and that's literally the process. I do want to jump back to SmartScout one more time to see if we could find another product. And think about it. We've opened up 2 products, and we've literally just expanded the range by an unbelievable amount. So we're just going to keep scrolling here, and I don't know. I'm just picking, guys. This is all within our revenue parameters. So I'm here. And I'm not in love with the supplement industry, just because of the regulation stuff. But Amazon is, there's tons of sellers on Amazon that are in that industry. But, you can scroll through here and we could potentially click on this. I mean, I'm not totally seeing enough bang for our buck just because the rank. Health and household's a big category, so I'm sure we could get some sales on this, but the rank isn't to my liking. And it is in the supplement industry, which I'm not in love with. But if you wanted to, just to maybe see if there's other stores on the listing you could source from, I would actually do that. So I would come here and I would look at the stores. Again, their listing is not well optimized at all, so this is potentially a brand you can reach out to. But a lot of these sellers, they have onesie, twosie stocks, which means that maybe they don't actually carry product directly from the brand. So again, I'm just sort of walking you guys through my thought process in this, and that is what it's all about. So if you guys watch this video over and over again, you're going to start to understand what my thought process is when I'm sourcing these profitable brands. So, okay, we will keep scrolling, and then, I don't know, I'm clicking on this one now. And again, an energy product, not in love with it, but from the perspective of sourcing other stores, might be an opportunity here. So we'll go ahead and click this, and we'll look at the different resellers selling it. So this is an example of one where the listing is not so good at all. No lifestyle photography, no infographics, bullet points not listed in feature benefit format. It's selling really well, right? It has, it's looking, It's got a 4-digit rank in grocery. That's great. You know, price is fairly consistent with the exception of over here. It kind of went down. So we'll scroll down, A plus content. So they are dipping their toes in the water with listing optimization. And then I'll go ahead and look at the stores over here, right? And I'll go, okay, here's one. Open up this one. Here's two, right? Here's three. You know, so we're just opening up stores in these tabs, and then we'll click this. So I'll just do a quick scroll. Some bigger brands on the listing here, or on the beginning of the store. So in text, you know, again, big brands. But one thing you have to realize, guys, is Amazon, the way they organize the storefronts is they put the big brands at the front. So you can actually find the smaller to mid-sized companies more in the middle of the storefront. So it actually looks like this store only has one page. So not really interested in that. I'm going to close them out. I'm going to open this tab up and we'll just, again, scroll. So let's see how many pages they have. So go all the way to the bottom. You know, 7 pages, not a big store. Not sure how much opportunity there's actually going to be here. But, you know, we have brands like Dove, huge brand. Maybe we could buy from a distributor, but that's not our target. We're targeting small to mid-sized brands. I'm not seeing a ton of opportunity here on this one, guys. You know, I mean, maybe there's some stuff like this, or you know, maybe something, again, Nor, big brand. Like, I'm gonna skip over that. I'm not seeing a ton of small to medium sized companies there. So again, I'm scrolling here, and now I'm starting to see something that is a little bit more possibly niche, smaller to mid-sized brands. Not seeing stuff I've heard of. So this is the process, guys. And then what I would do is I would copy this store. I would paste it into our spreadsheet here. And I would keep sourcing. I would just keep going, you know, through the weeds and down the rabbit hole. And I would just keep populating my list. And once I've reached like 50 suppliers on this list, I would then make phone calls to them and do our outreach process. And if you guys want to learn more on how we do outreach, I've linked again another video up above where you can check out our exact process for how we contact these brands and how we close the accounts. You're going to be met with resistance. A lot of these brands are not going to want to work with you, and you need to strategically position your company as being different from the other resellers and have a thorough understanding of what their pain points are and why they are saying no, as well as gauge the degree to which they are selling no. Because if it's a hard and steadfast no, brick and mortar, industry specific, licensed physician only, probably not worth pursuing. If it's an absolute yes right off the bat, great, grab it while you can. You know, nothing wrong with that. There's plenty that you can make money on with that, but it's more of a low-hanging fruit. You might be able to convert that into an exclusive or more selective agreement down the road, but the target companies are in the middle, the ones that are wishy-washy with if they're selling to Amazon sellers or not. You ask them if they're selling to Amazon, or you ask them how they're handling Amazon, and they say, oh, we're not interested, e-commerce, Amazon, and the tonality of their voice tells you if it's worth pursuing or not. So that's why we make phone calls. But for our purposes in this video, guys, again, we've covered SmartScout sourcing. We've covered a basic filter parameter of 20,000 monthly revenue to 250 to 300,000 monthly revenue. We will then niche down further. We'll look for Amazon to not be on the listing or to be on and off the listing, or they're priced non-competitively. We'll look for at least a $9 ASP, but we like high ASP products. You know, we'll look for at least 2 FBA sellers on the listing, not the brand. We don't want the brand to be the only one on the listing, but we will sell alongside the brand if they're selling to other resellers. So that's our process for sourcing profitable brands and suppliers. Again, small to mid-sized company means big revenue, small operation, so we have accessibility to the owners and the decision makers. I hope this video helped you guys. And if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, guys. I want to get 100 likes on this video. If we could get 100 likes, I will just I'm going to drop like a crazy value bomb video coming up, guys. And just share the video with a friend. If you think the information is helpful for you, if it could be helpful for another Amazon seller that you know, please share it with them. We're really trying to grow the channel, so I can really appreciate your continued support. Again, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out the other videos on the channel. And thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will see you next time.